Regulators. We regulate any malmiss or disinformation. We're damn good too. But you can't be any nerd out of school. Gotta stay ruthless with the censorship, be an establishment tool. Content regulators, mount up. It was a pitch black screen, a whitewashed room, regulators on the web, trying to subsume some subversive facts so we can all bone, stewing in our stink, fapping all alone. Just bump the algo at youtube.com, on a mission trying to paint RFK like Saddam. Seen a tweet full of lies, ain't no need to squint, as long as untruth serve the establishment. So I banned an account talking shit about the jab. Some truth was doing research and posting it to Gab. Roll a content strike and demand context. Mobile chat on Rockfin, gonna keep you vexed. Since St. Peter's peeping me, I'ma slide and swerve. Children's health defense moms getting on my nerve. They got bigger, better suits and pricey lawyers. I feel like an old tree staring down a Sawyer. I'm getting hacked, I'm faking myself. I can't believe GoFundMe stole my wealth. They froze my bank, they took my assets. I looked at Big Brother, said damn, what's next? They got Freak from Martinique doing somersaults. White House press site getting rocked with verbal assaults. AOC is saying words are literal violence. I best file my suit with Mr. Thomas Rentz. They got flags on my shit, my posts are going down. I can't believe I'm getting caught at crackdowns. If I had speech that was free, I could share my facts, and nefarious agendas I would counteract. Odyssey in the clip, Telegram in the hole, encrypted chat about to make somebody's signals turn cold. Now we juking and diving, never hesitate, cause YouTube and Twitter trying to regulate. I never once called X, let my sass explode. Now I'm switching my phones into Faraday mode. If you want privacy, then observe. I'll just twist a gang of spooks like they made a soft serve. Zuck's hairdo is tweaked, and that's a known fact. When I got hacked, he was onto my track. Sack up, cause it's on. Zuckerberg and me, gonna squash his face like cheese. Just like I thought, Facebook in my mailbox, asking me for my federal ID. But Raven and his mushrooms demanded much further clarity. One of Zuck's bots was pesky as hell. I said, ooh, I hate your vibes. Said I'll restore your account if you give me info. Would you take that ride? I got a head full of shrooms telling me to not share. The next stop is Kaspersky Software. I'm tripping into a whole new level. Elon, step to this, I dare ya, punk. Always call it Twitter. The data's what they want, and Yuval's a critter. Balls, chains, we bangs, remedies, relax. Where fungus is life, and life is fungus. If you blow like I blow, you don't wanna fuck with this. It's the fungal era, shroomed out with a mystic twist. If you dose like I dose, then you stay a little buzzed all day. And if your ass is a robot, EMP will regulate.
You got a problem?
Yes, I do.
That's a $400 phone.
Now I feel better.
That's company property. That's gonna come out of your paycheck.
Take it. Take the whole thing. Okay? It's worth it.
This is not about you, okay? It's not about me. It's about business. It's about the company.
Mr. Damien.
I want you to hear this. This man lives his philosophy.
Rule 1. Life is not a popularity contest, but it is a contest. Boo-hoo, they don't like me. Rule 2. You grab that scared little loser inside you and beat the living crap out of him. Rule 3, when is enough enough? Enough is never enough.
Enough is enough right now, Mr. Adamian. I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to tell you what's happening. Why am I even wasting my time trying to talk to you? You know what? I quit.
You what?
I quit.
You can't.
Why can't I?
Fourth quarter sales are in the toilet in this store and all the other stores too, for that matter. Your department has the highest profit record in the place. I can't afford to lose you.
How come you never told me this before?
I didn't want you to do what you're doing right now. Hold me up for more money. Which I'm happy to pay, as God is my witness.
As God is your witness, huh? As God is your witness?
What is up to my spiral string vibrations of lucid energy and double helix diamonds, diodes? Welcome to the Barbarian Noetics podcast, where we are dedicated to the elevation of the human spirit and, as always, to resisting this status quo, which is getting hectic. Shit. The status quo is getting hectic, friends, so digging deep over here, and it's all in divine time, and trust me, I'd be crying. I stay crying over here, all right? I didn't even know I could cry the way I've been crying, so I'd be doing the work. I'm focusing right now on time management, like that's my number one focus, time management, because there's so much critical work that must be done, and so I'm just trying to okay, I need to get better. Simple as that. So I'm working on it, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you supporting me and supporting the show, and y'all are the best. So this episode is a special episode, and it was recorded in a special studio. It was recorded in a fancy studio at ASU Herberger Center for the Arts. Shout out to Tony, my man, and as soon as I blow up, Tony's going to be my producer. I'm going to pay him better than ASU, and he's going to be my producer because he's my boy over there. And my guest this episode is just a amazing person, a fabulous muralist, a local artist, just someone who dynamic, buoyant, someone I look up to, someone I respect, someone who's just fucking rad. His name is Andy Brown, local muralist artist Andy Brown. In this conversation, we cover a lot of ground. It's a heartfelt and uplifting conversation, and it constellates around the concepts of manhood and what it really means to be a man in these times, in this divine time of changes. Because, and trust me, we understand the fluidity of things. We're not over here talking about bullshit. We're actually trying to discuss the real deal. How do you be a good man? That's it. And this is something that I'm continuing to learn and get better at, and it's a big topic. So who better to talk about it with than Andy Brown? In this conversation, we both open up about our past struggles on our journey to being better men, to being fully human, to becoming fully activated, and to becoming fully present and engaged in this eternal, blessed, mysterious now. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. You can find Andy Brown on the interwebs. The links are going to be in the description, but it's www.abartworks.com. www.abartworks.com is where you can find all things Andy Brown on the interwebs. He's very talented. He's amazing. Fucking love that guy. And another shout out again to Tony Brandt over at the ASU School of Music, Dance, and Theater for hooking it up with the top shelf studio, the top shelf equipment, and the audio engineering know-how. Shout out to Tony. And also heartfelt, very heartfelt, whole-souled shout out as well to mi novia bellísima y su madre for joining in studio and making sure that the los vibraciones in this conversation were extra delicioso y acogedor for our chat. All right, everyone, let's get into the episode. I love you all. Thanks so much for joining, and peace.
Porque tú no estás.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barbarian Noetics podcast. This is a super special episode right now. We are actually recording in a fancy studio. Little Raven is in a fancy studio. ASU is set some shit up, made it happen, and what makes it even more exciting is I have an amazing guest today, and I have two more guests today. It's freaking, it's perfect. My guest is Andy Brown. Andy Brown is a local muralist. He's a purveyor of fine designs.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Hello.
And I have mi novia bellísima y su madre aquí también.
Hell yeah.
And y'all can chime in if you want.
They really are here, by the way. They're sitting right next to me. The spirit in the room is really good. It really is.
All right, Andy. So we're going to talk about art for sure.
Cool.
But I wanted to first, I've been doing this thing called a mental health check-in at the beginning of my episodes on my video chat.
Okay.
So all y'all, if you haven't checked out the video, I throw it up on Rockfin and supposedly Rumble and YouTube, although YouTube censors me for saying facts. Sometimes I just or my co-host will say a fact and then YouTube will censor me. But rockfin.com/barbarianyakfest is where I do the video show. And so I always start things off just by taking a moment to ground in.
Okay.
And I actually want to take a few seconds to just
cool.
Connect.
Okay.
So we're going to take about 20 seconds just to ground in, take deep breaths.
Into the nose, out through the mouth.
Yes.
You.
/ however you would like, because we're not trying to be dogmatic.
Okay, I was going to say, where's your rule book, dude?
I got to find it. I got to get to the right page.
You didn't study my rule book.
I got to look at the index.
Cool. I'm down.
All right, cool. So, Andy Brown.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Andy Brown was going to ride his bicycle today, but so I know that astrologically this is a rocky time. I've known that, so I've been prepared. I'm it just so happens that astrologically right now, rocky as fuck, and it's going to be rocky until about Wednesday or whatever.
Okay.
And so I've been ready for it. And,
awesome.
Part of my Finnish heritage, the sisu, is the idea that life is just going to present problems. So it's
dude,
why not be cheerful about it?
Dude, for sure. Welcome the problems and the challenges because they're going to happen. So.
And it's problems / challenges, obstacles, things that are actually productive and that actually help us to build character too.
Yes, absolutely.
It reminds me of the idea of when you give a gift that you're actually, when you give a gift, you're being blessed. The person who receives the gift is blessing you by receiving the gift.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I want to start things off just by sending some love and good vibes to the island of Maui, man.
All right.
One of my best friends in the world is there right now. And it's just been really intense staying in touch with him. For listeners who might not know, there was some sort of a fire event that occurred in Lahaina. We're getting lots of different reports about what actually happened. No one really knows. I'm gonna be careful with my language, so I'm gonna narrate how I want to manifest things.
There we go.
So they will be letting people in, but it's been a challenge up to this point, and he's just one of my best friends in the world, and also I know the island of Maui. It's like it's so sacred and beautiful. So I lived on the big island of Hawaii for 4 years, but like when I was trying to bounce to another island, Maui, like that would be my first choice, because there's like red sand beaches and shit. Like it's wild. There's a lot of like Pachamama like energy there. It's really beautiful. And the people are beautiful, and so I just wanted to start things off by sending like some positive energy.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'll second that. I'll send some over as well. It's mind-blowing, something so unexpected and to that degree that it happened. We've been paying close attention because Jocelyn, my partner, her mom was a teacher there for many years and just decided to move back to the valley like 6 or 9 months ago. She was in upcountry, so she was fortunate, but there are so many people looking for the basics, right? Terrible.
People are trying to get in to help, and so they will be successful. They will get into help.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just been a challenge, and I just like, so this is a wild time in general, Andy. Do you feel that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you navigate like internally when so much is happening all around us?
So I've been learning to watch my mind and see how much it gets me wrapped up in everything. It's been a long lesson, but I'm at a spot where I know how to like give myself remedies to not get caught up in my mind, my mind used to create troubles for me in my early 20s. That showed me the hallway of mind orientation, and being a victim of that, so I slowly crawled my way out of that by finding another way to be, being in touch more with my full experience and less with the machine that's between my ears type of thing. So now I like to read up on the news, listen to podcasts, etc. But just as much as I do that, I just also tune out and wander around in my front yard. You know what I'm saying? Like nice and easy, playing with the dog, drawing. So, I mean, my feeling is obviously like as above, so below type of perspective, where it's like it is super crazy, but it's also like, I feel like people are waking up more than they previously, kind of waking up out of a hypnotic spell. And thanks to things like social media and war and pride and ego and all that stuff, we're able to go into the dark hallways of those things and realize we want to be in a different hallway, maybe even one that has, invisible walls. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, it's crazy, but it's also really beautiful, and it's part of this whole thing that has to happen, right? So
it seems almost like a birthing process.
Yes.
There's something being created anew, and that's always like a intense process.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole staying grounded part feeds into like the first topic, because you're an amazing artist. So Andy Brown is a local Phoenix muralist, and you do amazing work. And I really appreciate how discerning you are about like, you're very like, I'm going to do this piece because you feel like that is the right piece to do type thing.
Yeah.
You're someone who is very self-possessed. You have a lot of integrity in terms of like how you go about the whole making art thing. And that's important because art is important. It's like, in my mind, it's one of the most important things. La cultura, el arte.
Man. Yes, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, I need to honor, I kind of look at, art is something that I get to participate in, and I want to honor that and whatever part I have in it, I feel lucky to have found something that in my younger years enabled me to express myself, which wasn't a part of my growing up, right? And so it also kept me out of, it gave me something to do when there was a lot of drugs around. It's given me a safe spot, right? And so now I do it professionally, I do it for work, but I also just do it. It's, I'm fortunate that I'm making a living off of art, but I also am very discerning, because if it's not right, it's not right. It's not for me,
I want to talk about this concept so Andy Brown, I met you came into the coffee shop because we were displaying your art for a month.
Yes.
And I love the art, which I always appreciate, because like I'm in the coffee shop all the time. The art's up for a whole month. Yeah. It's really nice when I actually like the art, because I'm staring at it for a month. So I was like, Andy Brown, this is a good dude right here. And it's very like local oriented. There's a lot of symbology, like from the local ecology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we just like hit it off right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you told me about this concept that you have, that you like, I think you created it out of whole cloth. It's the concept of sleisure, right?
Yeah.
Sleisure.
Yeah, sleisure. Should I tell you like what it comes from?
Please, dude.
Yeah, sleisure is kind of, I guess, what references my art, but it comes from two separate words, soldier leisure. And
soldier leisure.
Soldier leisure, yeah. And that's something that came up because I was aware of the fact that I didn't like school. I thought it was interesting how I didn't like memorizing and repeating things, but I knew that it was my responsibility to do that. And then when I wasn't in school, I was enjoying skateboarding and drawing on walls, like tagging stuff and hanging out with my friends, and that was free, right? And so it was like, my dad told me, you got to do things that you don't want to do so you can do things that you do want to do, right?
I like that.
And so like soldier leisure was my way to communicate that, right? So it's like, and it's still, I do things in my life to protect my art, like if I've said no to murals or whatever, I do hourly jobs, and I do that to protect the path of my art so I don't have to become someone who's trying to sell their art to pay their bills, So that's where sleisure comes from, is soldier leisure. And I had to shorten it because I didn't like the connotation or just how it could be misunderstood,
Right.
But it still happens. I mean, the people that supported me, I used to sell T-shirts out of my backpack at hip-hop shows and stuff like that, and out of the trunk of my car when I got a car.
That's
and like
cool.
Those people that used to buy T-shirts from me are still like in that, it's very neat. Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, I didn't like, I've definitely grown from that point in time, but I'm still connected with like so many of those people.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
So I want to talk about what art does for us psychologically, like in the world, and when we're going through hard times and just like navigating and figuring it out. I feel in my heart that art is like magical in its powers, its capability. It connects us with the spirit world. It connects us with greater powers. It connects us with our own self, which is also tied into those greater powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that with art, when you start creating art, it starts to have a life of its own. So it's like when you create a piece of art, it's like you're planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to create, and the little sapling starts to grow.
Yeah.
And eventually the little sapling is going to be like, it's going to burst out some little leaves, and it's going to start photosynthesizing. And then it's like, wow, now my art that I created is creating its own life.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear your thoughts on that concept.
Yeah, man, that's really the way it goes. If you're tending the soil, which means like getting involved in your life and not hiding. So if you're tending the soil, you're going to have more of a rich place to grow that seed from and sprout it into a small tree or a bush or whatever it may become. It also could die after 6 months because you've kind of like you've ruined the specific seed you planted because you've been copying from people, right? And so you're not connecting with yourself, right? And so there's a lot of that happens because of the things that we have available now, where I could surf the internet and find 4 different artists that I like and then make my own style and call it this and say, this is who I am as an artist, right? But not operating like that and really trying to have a conversation with art. As you say, the seed turns into something, and pretty soon, it's coming to me now, is you become a servant of that tree, right? So I always said that I work for art. Art doesn't work for me, you know? I want to contribute to this large thing. I don't want to just take away from it, you know? And that feels much more powerful. That's like giving a gift almost, like, and receiving one. It's that same thing, that conversation.
Yeah. Say one more time. You work for art. Art doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
You could also say you create for art. Art, like, that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, like I have some rules for myself that I follow, and I don't write them down. It's just like an internal conversation, you know. And it's like, if I'm on a project out of state and I'm, let's say, painting in, let's say, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm being paid well and I can afford to hire a local that I might meet, then I'm just going to do that, you know. And it's like, hey, you want to come help? And you say you're going to pay him $15 an hour. And if you can do 20 or 25, you do that. And it's just like, hopefully also something can be taught so that person can take it with them, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere you go. Do you tour around as well and do art other places?
I did a lot of that for a long time. Pretty crazy stuff, like literally, yeah. Insane stuff. Yeah. I've been.
Talk about it, brother.
Yeah, dude. Well, I started traveling when I was 25 because I got a job working for a t-shirt company, and the warehouse was located in Compton, and they wanted, my way in was to be a sales rep. A girl I was dating from Phoenix got a job there as a designer. And when I was in Phoenix, I was kind of hanging around a lot of friends drinking. I was not clear in my head, you know, and so I moved out there. I couch surfed until I could find an apartment I could afford in Long Beach. But I worked in Compton, and 2 weeks into that job, it was a highly structured, old school Korean-owned company, and we were expected to cold call to sell these T-shirts. We worked in the corner of a warehouse of a large clothing manufacturer that was owned by a man named James Kim. And James Kim had quite a successful establishment. He had a son named Bada, and Bada was more hip, and he was about 19 years old, and he was given this money to start this T-shirt company. So long story short, I was cold calling from 8 to 5. I hated it.
Yeah, that sounds
I didn't
awful.
want to interrupt people's days to tell them about the T-shirts we had, right? It just was. And so 2 weeks of being there, the new manager, because we started having success and my territory was the Southwest, he called me in, and I go into this huge conference room with this big marlin on the wall. And supposedly Bada caught that when he was 8 years old. That's the story that everyone's told, you know? And the fish looked like it weighed about 300 to 400 pounds, you know? So that's what you're told, right? So we're in this room, and Peter's like, Andy, how are you? And I said, I'm good. And he sees my legs shaking under the glass table, and he says, oh, you're nervous. I said, yeah, man, what's up? You know?
Damn.
And he says, you're not very good at this. And I said, I know. I can't do this. You know, I can't just call people all day, you know? And anyway, he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, can I be on the art team? And he goes, no, we don't need people to create. We need people to sell. And I was like, oh, man. And he's like, what else do you want to do? And I said, I want to travel and draw, you know. And he said, well, you just left your home in Phoenix. What are you going to do? I said, I don't know. And he said, do you think you could go to Japan and get us distribution? And I said, I think I can do that. And so I went to Japan.
Wow.
For 2 weeks. That story in itself was insane, because all of a sudden I'm somewhere where I know nothing, you know, and I have to get a distribution contract, and I have like 2 contacts they gave me. And this is before Google Translate. This is 2005. So that was insane, you know. I'd go back to my hotel room and pack of smokes, right? And one night there's a typhoon happening, and I'm on whatever floor I'm on in Tokyo, and I'm just like looking out the window, like smoking cigarettes. Just like, what am I doing, dude?
Right.
So lost, you know.
Also manifestation, though, too.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
You said you wanted to travel.
Yeah.
And they're like, you sure?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And the universe will do that, too. The universe will be like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Buckle up.
No, totally. And that's what happened. The universe, like, you know, that's when I began this process of like undressing all the different outfits that I had either chose to put on in Phoenix or they were put on me, you know. all my roles, my way of thinking, my way of looking at things. You know, and I had an open mind as a young person. I grew up building forts in the desert. I liked people from all different walks. You know, I was interested in talking to the gangbangers at school and also the athletes and the cool people, and, you know, so this was just opening that up more, but I had to go through this like rite of passage almost. And it was, you know, I had some very tough times in my 20s, and this added to that.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Tough times in the 20s.
Yeah, man.
20s were brutal.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I made it out of my 20s.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be willing to listen, because otherwise it's just going to keep happening and getting more intense, right?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, there's the saying that the universe will give you a feather first, then it'll give you like a little like nudge, then it'll like pop, then it's a brick, and then it's a truck. Like if you keep on making the same choices that lead to the same conclusions, if it's not serving your higher self, if it's not like cultivating the sapling that's starting to grow into a tree, eventually into a mighty oak,
yes,
the lessons become harsher.
Yep.
And this makes me feel like, so I have a lot of faith in the universe, in the creator. Like I feel like there's a lot of spirit in the world. And this is one of those examples where it almost feels like an intelligence is there.
Yes.
Because it's almost like, so I sort of see life as a school for our souls. And so like, you got to make the most of the experience.
Totally.
And the universe will like ensure that you do type thing.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah, it's that I never heard it put like that, but I think that is what's up, and that's what's happening, you know. My lesson, I had a really hard lesson prior to moving out to Los Angeles and working in Compton, and that was that I stopped making art for a period of time and started drinking a lot more. I've learned about you and your experience with that.
Yeah.
I was partying hard. I was hanging around with friends that I had skateboarded with and done some graffiti with and stuff like that, but my first smack was I had some mental illness happening, and that's a whole nother conversation, you know. Looking back, it's like, wow, man, I was really being shown I needed to draw more, not become who I thought I needed to be, you know. My thinking was I was going to go to college and get a degree and work that job to protect my art, right? So I wanted to work a job to make sure I never had to compromise my art. Well, in going to school, I ended up wanting to get out as quick as possible, and so I picked the degree. I went to a counselor, and she's like, wow, you've got statistics class, sociology, urban planning, you've been dipping into architecture. And I'm like, yeah, I just want to get a degree and get out of here, you know, like it's limited time, limited money. And she's like, well, you have a lot of varied stuff. You could do a degree in marketing. Oh man, I met some great friends. I still have some friendships from that experience, but that's when the darkness started settling in for me, because I was still drawing and making Soldier Leisure t-shirts, but my mind became activated towards business, and I didn't know that it was kind of not for me. And I rode that pony through to the degree, and then after that I had a crash, you know. That was a very scary time. And I ended up being put on mood stabilizers, antipsychotics. And, you know, I was not far away from being in the state's care. I was having a lot of trouble. And, it's insane to look at it now. But after a session or a cycle of antipsychotics, I went back to the psychiatrist, and I had this crazy thing happen to me. Here's a man, this is on the west side where I grew up, by Thunderbird Samaritan Hospital, so like Glendale and 60th Avenue. And he's a man in a white suit, and he is just taking these notes on a clipboard, asking me very straightforward questions. Nothing about what's going on in your life, nothing like that, right? And that's the type of household I grew up in, you know. I was scared at that time. I was 21, I think. I was terrified of what was happening to me. I couldn't sleep. My thoughts were so rigid. It was almost unbearable, to where I tried to take these antipsychotics. After 2 weeks of those, I was in this man's office, and he was doing his clipboard thing again. And something along the lines of, it was like an internal realization that whatever this man puts on that clipboard is who I am to him. And so I thought, well, this guy doesn't even know me. And then the next question was, well, do I know me? Do I even know who I am? Something got lost here. And thankfully, I remembered that I love to draw. And I mean, I was spun out, okay?
Yeah. Also, I just want to say, like, thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
You know, it's courageous of you to share.
Yeah, man.
And it's important because a lot of people struggle with mental illness situations, whatever you want to call it. I talk about it a lot on the podcast, my struggles with it. And it's important to be able to, like, to share about it because people can relate, and it gives people like a little bit of something to hold on to sometimes, of like, okay, there's a gentleman who pulled himself out from, sounds like a very, very difficult situation.
Oh yeah.
Fucking did it.
Yeah. By the grace of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm lucky. I'm so lucky, you know, and I'm not going to go off on a proselytization of God, you know, but there was something there, you know, and it was also just an internal intelligence, whether that's God or not. I just remember that I like to draw, right? And so I stopped. He wanted to write me another prescription for this stuff, and I just said, I'm not going to do it, you know. But boy, that was a tough situation. And I've shared that with some people, and they're like, what, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, you have no idea, like, how dark it got, you know. It's scary looking back now. Yeah. Whoa.
There's
man.
a lot of inspiration there.
Yeah.
You know, the resiliency of the human spirit.
Totally.
That is like, I'm always returning to the resiliency type thing.
Totally.
And, you know, so here's another thing too. Mm-hmm. Yes, the universe will give you harder and harder lessons. You don't necessarily have to do that. Like that's not like the only way to evolve in terms of like, you can feel the feather on the universe.
Yes.
When the universe gives
some
you the
people
feather,
that are grounded, they do that.
I would say that's
like, most people. Most people, I think, do that because they're reasonable people. You know, I have a relationship with someone who's very reasonable. She's very grounded, very present. There's like a huge balance. Who she is a balance between, like, she's mostly just heart, you know, she's just incredible. Right. And I'm more of a trapezoidal shape, you know, but I've found ways to manage myself to where I can be productive in this world. You know, I think my personal feeling on mental illness is it's a signal, you know, it's a temporary signal. But if you're under the viewpoint of the industry, then this is your solution. Okay. But if you have somebody in your life, or if you have an experience that you can refer to remember who you are and to understand what's happening, you can get through it. There are some people who need meds, I think, right? And I don't want to come off like I think I know what I'm talking about. I only know my experience, you know, but I have a feeling that many young people who are experiencing, let's say, mania, okay, let's say psychosis, let's say depression, a lot of these things are, I think, a symptom of a world that is like going through its own growing pains, and this world is crazy, you know. And if you don't have something to hold on to, like a tradition that was passed on through your family, or something that gives you contact with something other than this world of form, you're more vulnerable, you know. And so, like, sometimes humming can get you grounded. Just feeling your feet can get you grounded. Now, that doesn't mean thinking about feeling your feet. That actually means just feeling your feet, right? But we have this thing called the thinker that's all over the place, and that's what creates all the sales, and that's what, you know, it's a necessary tool, but it can definitely take over.
It comes back to what you were saying about, like, you gotta have, there's things in your life that you use to succeed. They're instruments that you play. Like, I keep coming back to this over and over. You play the instrument. You don't let the instrument play you.
Yes, man. Absolutely. Yes. My mind played me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so rigid and just totally nuts. Like, totally nuts. Yeah.
So you leaned on your art, like, really heavily. You leaned on the drawing. And would you say that it was almost like echolocation through drawing? Like, you were able to, like, understand where you were at and stuff like that the more you drew? And was it kind of like that, or? So
it was a long road back. I went to see a counselor that a friend of mine that I had known, his mom was a therapist, and she gave me someone to go talk to. And I went and talked to her, but my feeling was she wanted to be my mom. And that's just not what I needed. I don't think. Maybe I did need it, but I was resistant. It was one appointment and I was gone. So I kept drinking, and hanging out, but I started drawing again and started remembering that part of me, and started strengthening that. And then over a period of time, now I'm in LA, I'm in a sketchy situation. I finally find an apartment, but now they want me to start traveling internationally. Yeah. So in Japan, it was a hard time, but you have an 11-hour plane ride. So I would draw. I love passing time on an airplane drawing, and after Japan, I went back to Compton and working and became friends with some of the people in the warehouse. They were all people from Guatemala, and I had some great friendships with them. That was really fun. I liked to go back there and talk with them. Then I flew to Barcelona. So I drew all the way to Barcelona, 9-hour flight, right? And all the flying I started doing through this job really put me back on, because it was just free, I wasn't making very much money. My neighborhood was okay, but it wasn't very inspiring. It was a lot of traffic, new city, it was a rough time, but it was so great too, so I slowly stabilized myself, there was no magic pill except for time and reading some books that helped me understand what was happening, and that I actually wasn't my mind, And I knew that because early experiences drawing at home, I would become to a state where I could just appreciate the reflection on things around me. I would become so still. But that all, in order to fit in and start gaining friends in high school, and you're writing graffiti, skateboarding, you don't really do that process anymore. Because that's a little weird, when you're 13, 14 and you're having those types of things, like very insightful things happening. I felt pretty freakish in a way, So yeah, you start doing other things that are also fun, but it's more busy fun. It's not still,
So you're saying, because I had that same experience growing up where people would always say to me, like, why you got to be so deep? Just relax. Because I'm always interested I always want to get to the bottom of everything.
Yeah, of course.
I'm always, like, my earliest memories, anxiety and wondering, like, what the fuck I'm doing here and why am I here?
How old were you when you were asking yourself that?
It's my earliest memory.
That'll make you drink, dude. That'll make you drink, man. Those are heavy questions. Yeah. I used to ask my dad, are there different species of humans? And he would be like, huh? And I'd be like, are there like just consumers, just creators? Like, there's all these different mindsets. And he was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
That's a lot for a young kid, man.
It is, but it's also natural though. That's
it's
the thing.
Totally natural.
So it's not. I'm gonna fuck up this quote. Like you can't. It's okay to be not well adjusted to like a bonkers society.
Totally. But when you ask, what I was trying to communicate is it's a lot for a young person in this world to ask those questions, because as soon as you ask something below the surface, I think most people are like, "What the fuck's up with you, man? Relax." And you're just like, "No, I'm seriously curious. Like, what do you think is really happening here?"
Yeah.
So like, but nowadays that is such a welcome topic, because I think we're, eyes are starting to wake up, right?
So you have a lot of optimism, it sounds like. You feel
I
like
do.
You feel like society is awakening.
Yeah, I do. It's also going deep down as well.
That's what happens. That's how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So it's like, I live in a part of town where I get to see a really well balanced part of reality. I had to sell my house in the gated community just because it got so boring. The pickleball courts, I had to have it repaired.
Yeah, it's like it's like congratulations, you kept everyone out. Now what the fuck?
Yeah, now
There's
I'm bored.
Nothing going on, you morons. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it's just can we just chill out with like always trying to like put walls around ourselves and just like the neighborhood community, that's like what it's all about. That's one of the things that makes life worth living.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are going to do what they think they want, right? They're going to go after that. And so that's really cool. And I've had some experiences where this is another story, but I started doing Saul LeWitt installs, and Saul LeWitt is a highly regarded artist. And so I would find myself in Aspen, scribbling on someone's wall for 7 weeks with 6 other artists. And yeah, so I've been to those places too. But back to what I was saying about, I live in a spot where I have a good viewpoint on reality, which is a lot of people working, hustling, and some enjoying, right? And I like that. I like being amongst people. That's the place for me, you know? It would be nice to have a little bit more of a comfortable spot maybe, you know? But that's what vacations are for. If you save up enough money, you treat yourself, you know? I like to feel connected, and so that's why I say, when we have a conversation, it's like, what's up, man? What do you think's going on here? Someone understands that, you know? And like, I think part of that curiosity also grows something within you that's like the disciplinarian of that person, right? And so like learning how to manage yourself and like keep it balanced, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, I would always be asking questions, and I'd go back to where I was in my 20s, which is not giving myself a rest, not recuperating, you know? We've opened up so much here, dude.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I want to get into, so I was meditating on like the topic. Obviously wanted to like talk about art, and at the end of the conversation I want everyone to, they're going to find out exactly how to find out what Andy Brown is doing artistically and stuff like that.
Oh wait, can this all just be a promo for my art, please?
we got about an hour
I was
left.
hoping this was just a big commercial, man.
You're like, deuces, I'm out. So a topic that's been just very salient for me, especially like recently, is the idea of being a man in the world, in the modern world. It's tricky. That's what I keep coming back to. And of course it's like, it's also tricky to be a woman in the world. Yeah. But I'm a man, and so I'm trying to be a man in the world.
Yeah, man.
And
there's
a lot of, yeah, man. There's so many like trip falls and ways that you can get off course. And also we don't have rites of passage in our society also. So I've had to kind of create my own rites of passage just using my own intuition. And what I'm talking about is like transitioning from boyhood to manhood. That is an important transition.
Yes.
And your body's going through puberty and everything's crazy and you don't know what's going on. Your mood's all over the map. That's where you're like you need elders in your life that know what is going on, and they can help guide you through that process.
Yes.
So a lot of people didn't have that. And I'm not like, I had elders in my life that loved me and cared about me 100%, but they're in the grind, trying to like keep their stuff going. And that's just not something that was like, it wasn't salient in their awareness that like men need rites of passage to become men. So that makes it so you're finding your own way. And if you don't know, like, if you don't have a foundation upon which to build, it's very tricky, and you have to like look into all these inner resources and do all this deep self-searching of like, okay, this is what it is to be. So and now in the modern world too, there's another element of it, which is like the people talk about the toxic masculinity all the time. So then it's like, okay, so you want to be a man, but you don't want to have toxic masculinity. But you do, if you're a man, it's okay to have masculinity because you're a man. So how do you have masculinity without it being toxic?
It's okay to be who you are, you know, like it's okay. I think it's really easy to look at someone who's buff, tan, greased up with a tank top and be like, that guy must be a dick. You don't know if that guy's a recovered alcoholic, and so he's replaced his drinking time with taking care of his body, you know? It's really easy to like get onto the level of form, and boy, is that a cheap way to feel okay about yourself. You know, it's like low-hanging fruit of how you are, right? As far as like manhood for me, I hit puberty really late, you know. I mean, dude, when I graduated high school, I think I was like 97 pounds. My shoulders were 4 inches apart. You know, it's not like I'm some big man now, boy, you know, but it's like...
You're a tall man. Andy Brown's tall as fuck.
I'm a stick man, you know. I'm just like walking around like hoping I don't blow away. It's like, keep change in your pockets, Andy, you know. Keep painting your backpack. No, so I had a lot of friends that had dads who were, you know, I didn't have the traditional upbringing necessarily. Like my father was very busy, but when he would be around, he would let me know how lucky I was to have a roof over my head, and how I was lucky to not have any uncles or cousins that were sleeping in my room when I got home from school. I mean, he was pretty hardcore. He's like, you got a pillow and a roof, dude, you're good. Like, you can cut that, you know. And those things were good. He also told me, do you know how lucky you are to be an American male who's white? Dude, and I was, you know, I'm 14 years old, and I'd be like, whoa, I was just saying hi, you know. You know, I'm thankful for my experience, because I was shown early on that I wasn't going to be treated as something special, you know. For example, like today, you and your brother are going to fill up that wagon with rocks, you know, and I already got all the big ones. So it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, pretty straightforward, you know? So, I mean, there are so many things to talk about with what I think about this manhood thing. I think I like to access the young part of me through art, through hanging out with friends, through having fun. I never cut that off. It's important to keep that person along for the ride. But that person can't be making the calls for me as someone who's in his mid-40s, you know? So it's like knowing when to let distractions happen and when not to. I can't imagine coming up, being in my 20s now with all the distractions, you know? I can't imagine that. I mean, you could feel like you know all these things about the world when you're just looking at the screen. You know, this computer you have in your pocket can really distort things, and get you caught up in the wrong stuff, you know.
It's important to like take a moment from time to time just to realize like how rapidly technology has accelerated and how powerful these devices that everyone has in their palms. I remember my dad used to always say, I grew up in the 80s, and my parents didn't want to have televisions, and I thank them for that. They were like, my mom felt really strong about it, like, no, we're not going to have television. So it was my sister and I
very cool.
It was cool. My sister and I were like, no, we're always like, let's get the TV, let's get the TV, let's get the TV. And
Saved by the Bell or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And my dad would be like, we got this new clunky Zenith TV. Remember the old, which now I've learned that those are good to have for electromagnetic pulse devices. If you want to make your own electromagnetic pulse device, those big Zenith
really?
box TVs, they have some stuff you can do that with.
Oh, wow.
So just a heads up.
That's
there.
cool.
But yeah, so my sister and I thought this was like the coolest shit ever. Like, wow. And my dad's like, that's nothing. It's a piece of junk. And I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about? He's like, in 1 year, it's going to be a piece of junk. He's like, pretty soon, people are going to have movies, TVs, everything in the palm of their hand. He called that in the 80s.
He knew what was up.
He knew what was up.
Was he in the field of technology or computer or anything like that?
Philosopher at heart, lawyer by trade.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, and he told me once, he's like, son, if I could do it all over again, I would have gone to Northern California and grown weed.
Yes, dude. I mean... Yeah, man, that's, I mean, to be a philosopher and then study, I mean, that's a tough.
He was a man of tremendous integrity, and then you're a lawyer in like the city of Chicago, which is the most corrupt city on earth.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky road.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And were you close with your father growing up? Was he around enough to show you what being a man was? Yes,
he was. I had a rocky childhood, so I don't want to get too into it right now, just because like my dad just passed away recently and stuff like that too. So I just want to focus on like the positive aspects of his personality.
Do it. Yeah, rest in peace. Let's do this.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man.
But I had a rocky childhood, and so I was getting mixed signals about like what it is to be a man.
Okay.
And I was also had my own struggles. Like I've just always had anxiety and stuff like that, and not knowing like what's what. And my other elder men in my family also were going through their own struggles, and people going through struggles, bro.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so is this what being a man is? Just like going through struggles? In a way, yes. Yeah. But for me, the drinking, man, that was like the linchpin, the first linchpin. There's other linchpins now, but in terms of life is a school for your soul.
Yeah.
First lesson, drinking. I have generational alcoholism, like going so far back that my blood is like 50% booze. I'm like Russian.
Yeah, dude, you're
Finnish,
coming from
Welsh.
north. Yeah, dude.
Dude, it's ridiculous. Like, you go to those places, alcoholism doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
People are just drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And they just call it being alive. Like,
Yeah,
it's
man.
wild.
Yeah.
And for me, though, like, that wasn't I couldn't do that this life. I couldn't continue to
Good
do
morning
that this
with a
life.
shot of vodka with your dad. Just like, good morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Da.
Top of the morning to you. I mean, there's nothing wrong, like, nice ass Bloody Mary, you know.
No.
You get a little breakfast in there. Now I just do it without the booze. if I'm gonna do
Yes,
it.
there you go.
Now I can still get fancy drinks, but without the booze.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so that was my, like, it took me 3 tries to get sober from alcohol. I had like 3 separate rock bottoms. And you know, I've been open about it on the podcast before that.
I've listened to the podcast on that, and
Okay.
it's incredible. I mean, it's some of the stories you shared. It's just like, it sounds like someone's trying to comfort themselves, and then that just becomes a hug you don't want to let go of, type of thing. You know?
Yeah, it's a very insidious substance, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of these ex-alcoholics that's like, alcohol's evil, because some people are able to drink it in moderation, and God
Yeah.
bless you that I'm impressed by you.
Yeah.
But I was completely unable to drink it in moderation, and I had to view one beer as like my mortal enemy. That this one stupid beer, and society is giving you constantly.
Oh yeah, dude. You want to
And
be
also-
cool. You want to be a man. Get on a jet ski. Grab a Corona. You know?
Yeah, and like family gatherings and stuff like that, people are just getting wasted. And I used to go and collect the old cocktail glasses and get like the dregs of people's cocktails at like 6, dude. 6
You're
years
like a
old.
hummingbird just flying around the party, like sugar water.
My dad was always about putting olives in the cocktails, so I would always ask for I'd call it the owl. I'd be like, ow. And the owl was soaked in booze.
Yeah, it's like a mini football soaked in vodka, dude. That's a dense little morsel for like a small kid, you know?
And, you know, so that was, it got to a point where I was either going to die or quit drinking. And thankfully, I quit drinking.
Yeah, man.
But it's like, that's kind of how it rolls sometimes with that. And so my nieces, I love my nieces with all my heart. And I'm going to be very honest with them as they get older and enter college and stuff. Be like, it's not, people view alcohol like it's just this casual, easy thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, though.
No.
This is a very, I don't even want to use the term dangerous, but it's just a very powerful substance.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that in the indigenous people of the Americas, when they were introduced to it, they called it the dream water, because it was like you felt like you were in a dream, but you were still alive. And that was true for me also. Right? I would be, and you know, sometimes when I first started drinking, I was having really positive experiences or having fun or whatever, like in high school, big parties and stuff, and your body can handle it because you're, you know, you can do whatever, you can go on no sleep and all this kind of stuff. But talk about like the instrument playing you instead of you playing the instrument.
Yeah, dude.
It's hard to get a more like direct example than with alcohol for that.
Yes. And to your point, it's advertised and sold, you know, as part of like the process, you know, and for some people they're way more vulnerable to that, you know, of becoming on the dark side of that. But no matter what, Big Beer is selling you an idea of who you can be. I mean,
Luckily now Big Beer's tripping over its dick with its marketing. It
Totally.
can't figure itself out, and it's actually like hurting itself. Like the
Yeah.
brands are being hurt because they can't figure out the marketing.
Totally.
They have all these people that feel really strongly about like, we need to market like this.
Yes.
And then there's other people like Joe Bob in West Virginia who just got like out of the friggin' coal mines, and he's just trying to drink a beer, and the beer commercial is like sending him messages about like, you know, whatever it's like, it's hilarious to me.
yeah, dude.
So, and that comes into another aspect of like, so we're in this challenging situation right now as a society, in that we have little tiny pivot here. We have like capture of like our regulatory agencies, like corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, and so there's not like the people that are supposed to be looking out for us are just trying to make money off of us.
Oh yeah, big time. I play that part in Megaphone Phoenix. I'm just trying to get rich, posing as an art studio space.
There you go,
Dude,
jump on that train, brother.
it's wonderful because no one in there knows that I actually don't get charged for Wi-Fi, but I tell them each individually that Wi-Fi went up and I get to make more money. You know?
There you go. You're
Oh man, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's absolutely grotesque. And you know, seeing what you can squeeze from everybody. You know, there's like this cut of cloth out there of men who are smart, clever, etc., and it's just all about squeezing as much as you can out of people. And you know, when you add life to life, there's a paycheck there that is way more powerful than making another 10 or 15 grand or whatever it is, you know. And I don't have any problems with money myself. Money enables me to have a comfortable life and pay my mortgage and that type of stuff, right? But I'm really thankful that I wasn't raised with a lot of it, and I was told that it causes problems by somebody who made plenty of it but never showed it, and that was my father, you know. I'd always be like, why don't we have a pool? And he'd be like, that's not how we roll. And I'd be like, okay, how come we don't live closer to a mountain? He's like, it's not how we roll. And I'm like, all right.
It's like yet another example of something that you have to play and not let it play you. Money, currency.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
yeah.
You know, it's my mom always used to be like, yeah, you don't want to just like be obsessed with it, but it's pretty nice to have around.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. My dad used to tell me, you know, art is pretty cool, you know, but nothing would be worse for you than you're sitting in an apartment, your AC doesn't work, but your drawings are the most beautiful thing that you've ever created, but you're 70 and you can't afford groceries. Right. That was kind of one of the pictures that was painted for me. And so that kind of had a lot to do with like, I'm always going to work to protect my art, you know?
When you said something I really liked, add life to life.
Yeah, man. Yes. Like there's something there that, you know, I think people are creative inherently, you know. You have people who work as, let's say, like a mechanic, and then let's say they hike or collect rocks afterwards, right? And then they show that to their friends, and then that adds something to people's life, you know. If you just work and consume, I think the commercial world loves that, but your spirit and your soul probably doesn't, you know, and it's easy to get caught up in that. I mean, I mentioned earlier, like on a jet ski with a Corona, that's how you be a man. It's like, well, if the commercial world had its totalway and this just popped up, it's like you're on the jet ski, you've got the Corona, and you've got a brand new Walkman on, you know, and it's like, you know, the commercial world's like, be a man, enjoy your life, you deserve it, you're unique, you're special. And it's like, no, you're an idiot, dude. You can't hear what's going on around you, right? And it's like you got all these decorations, but you're not even there. Right. You're like an expression of like the commercial world's interests. And like to the topic you brought up, yeah, I think it's really crazy how that has happened, man.
We're in a tricky situation, and it's like, this is the shit that builds character. We have to build character as a society. We have to like step up and face the situation. We certainly can't just bury our heads in the sand about it. No. That's part of like what motivates me to do the podcast. Yes. I just want to do my part, like to like face the situation for what it actually is and stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's see what we're made of, and let's see how we can open up communication and become synergistic and like totally pragmatic. Because it's probably it's gonna happen at some point, right? We're gonna be woken from our slumber because we've kind of stayed at the party too long. Things are getting stolen. There's a fight. The kegs are empty. You know. Yeah. We've had it really good, and I think something's gonna swing back and be like, what are you guys made of?
So my initial point earlier when I was talking about the beer companies fucking up the marketing and like driving out their core or whatever consumer base, that's an example of you have like it's good not to give like forces too much credit and power, because people are still humans and they make all kinds of mistakes, and there's like clumsiness that happens and issues and infighting. I'm talking about like the ruling class right now, or the institutions and corporations behind the ruling class. There's like a lot of drama there as well. And like, so, you know, I think sometimes people make the mistake of giving almost too much credit to the ruling class and being like, oh yeah, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's like, maybe they might try. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But it's like, that's when it's up to us of like, all right, well, do we want to let them do this or not?
Yes. Well, and that's, people have a lot more power than they are under the impression, you know? No one is going to lead you to believe that like you're really powerful, just you. You know, why would you want people to know that? They're not going to buy things, you know? I mean, if we relate that to me, it's like, I love giving art lessons in air quotes, you know. I like just helping people be comfortable with making their art, you know. Teaching is the wrong word for that, but I get, you know, I've worked with different people and groups and stuff like that, and like that's really fun, enabling other people to do that instead of being like, oh no, you got to buy from me, come to my showroom, you know. Like that's a weird one. It doesn't quite seem right. Now at the same time, the way I make a living is selling art, but I'm not like selling it. If someone said, I'm going to buy a painting, I want to buy a painting from you, you know, I have this amount of money. As of late, I've been thinking about offering to help them make a piece for their own home, and I just help them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you don't want people to know that they're powerful necessarily because you don't have them captured anymore, you know? And so like, that's where it comes down to like good conversations and podcasts and stuff. I listen to a number of podcasts and I really love them because they're just reminders of things that are out there. They're not necessarily obvious because the world we're walking around in is, well, it's a lot of like money making and angling and all that stuff. Yeah. You know,
a lot of people think that's what manhood is. A lot of people think that being a man is like angling all the time and like being super clever with how you get the frog skins and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, then you end up in a situation, you alluded to it earlier, where you have all the trappings of like whatever it is you're trying to attain. We're talking about manhood right now, so you have all the trappings of manhood, but your essence is empty.
Yeah, totally.
And that's like an awful place to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have no money and have my essence and integrity intact than have all the money in the world and not know who the fuck I am, you know?
So I'll go back to a point in my life. I worked for this company out of Compton for 3 years, and because I had some success in bringing this t-shirt brand to Europe and parts of Asia, I got on the radar of a Dutch fashion company, higher end, okay? And they were going to pay me more than $31,000, which is what I was making trying to get by, okay? And I took the job because I wanted an experience. The company was based out of Amsterdam, Holland. I was going to travel there twice a year. So I took that job, and I had a showroom on Beverly and Wilshire in Beverly Hills, California.
Wow.
Things changed, okay? Yeah. So now I'm in this 3-story showroom. The woman that I'm running it with was a really sweet gal named Lean, and she was from Belgium. And people would fly in to see the new collection.
Wow.
I'm wearing shiny denim pants. I mean, I'm like, I was way away from what I came from type of thing, you know? And anyway, to your point, all the trappings, how I ended up describing that experience was I had all this travel. Okay, they had, you know, Audi station wagon for me, you know, $2,000 dinners. I mean, it was just insane. It was just insane. And I'd ask myself, what is happening here? And it's like, because I got to travel so much, I love that, learning about new cultures and being put in situations where I have an opportunity to learn, right? But at the same time, it got to be too much. And I used to say I'm like a Christmas tree with all these ornaments, but the tree is just dead. So you can't see past all the reflections of all the ornaments to see that I'm dead. I'm the only person that knew that, by the way. And when I quit, after a year and a half, I was like, I'm done with this. And people were like, what? You're crazy. You know, you're crazy. Like you're running that showroom for this company, you know? And I was like, no, I'm be crazy if I stayed here, you know? Like, 'cause ultimately the thing I loved the most was drawing for 9 hours when I'm flying from LAX to Schiphol in Holland, right? It's like, or wherever I was going. That's what I loved. And so I left, and I slowly undressed myself of all those things that were starting to attach to me fairly firmly. You know, no amount of drinking would detach it, you know, or partying. I was a crazy guy, still making art, you know, and all that stuff. But that was my primary role, was this job.
So you were still partying and stuff, like back when you were also holding down that job?
Yeah, I had to. I absolutely had to. I made some great friends in that job. Other guys that are like, man, yeah, I'm doing this because I have to, you know. But it was just, yeah, I was still drinking. And I still drink now, you know. But I put myself in check, you know. I took 2 years off. It's probably the best thing I ever did for myself. I took 2 years off because I understood that I was living off of Roosevelt and Grand and having a great time, so many friends and drinking a lot and all that stuff. And I just thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do this megaphone thing, I should probably sacrifice something so I can give this megaphone idea attention in my art. And so the thing that I let go of was drinking. That was the best thing I ever did.
What do you think are some ideas like for like young people that come across this podcast or whatever and feel like it's hard to like look around and find like positive examples of people that are actually like living their truth, living their integrity, and not just running around trying to get paychecks and stuff like that? Like, because we don't have these like rites of passage situations for folks. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, you know, imagine there's like someone who's here in the ether with us, like a young gentleman, and trying to find like his way in the world. Like, because not like you said, now with social media, you have like even more temptation to just make it all about the trappings, because social media is literally like you're putting out the trappings. Like it's, and I'm not trying to hate, because like it's part of the world and I have to use it to market the podcast and stuff like that.
Course.
But it's just so easy to be like you're putting filters and you're presenting yourself in your best light all the time.
Yeah, you even know how to speak about it to where it creates curiosity and maybe gets you the next mural job. I mean, it's to a level where it's pretty insane, you know. I still post on Instagram and share pictures of what I'm doing, but I mean, I'm always working, and this is just so I can share. I know I need to do that, and people are like, come on, dude. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, but to your question about somebody young, you know, there was what up, Adam Zanzucci. This dude was in Megaphone, young artist, creative type, and he had a really grounded perspective that I really appreciated. He's maybe 24 or 25, and he's not putting pressure on himself to become a successful artist and to do all this. He's just trying to enjoy the ride. So he's tuned into something for himself, you know. For the young people who don't have that, it's like you got to find somebody who's not like peacocking all the time, I think, you know, or trying to be an influencer. I mean, when you sense that something is forced from somebody, they're in a position where they think they need to do that, you know, and just because they're older or maybe appear successful or whatever, it doesn't mean that that's something to like attach yourself to, you know. I think doing things in the physical world, like exercising physically, whether it's taekwondo or football or playing frisbee, ultimate frisbee, or whatever, that's like a great way to get embodied and to go a little deeper than yourself, you know. And like the process of art making, just for me, it's all about the process. I love that. I love the process, you know. And so like I always share that. It's like, just get into a process, you know. It doesn't need to be sexy and Instagrammable. It just needs to be something that create space for you to connect with you, you know. And I think if you add life to your life, eventually that puts you in a direction where you're going to meet people who might be able to support you or give you some guidance or something like that.
Let's go deeper into the idea of the process. Like, how do you understand that idea of like forging a process for yourself in order to create your own self? Like, are you talking about like writing like to-do lists and like that type of thing, or having like schedules that you stick to, like for accountability, that type of thing, or is it different for you?
Oh man, I've been trying to be a person of lists. It doesn't happen. I've bought myself a book, you know, tried it 3 times in the past 5 years. I'm just more of a schedule, you know. I'm more just like wake up, cup of water or 2 cups of water, 2 cups of coffee, do something in the yard outside, maybe look at Instagram, probably. But for a short amount of time. And then I know that I want to make art. I want to ride my bike. I want to connect with the studio space. I want to pay attention to what else is also not in my pipeline in my life. Walk around my neighborhood, you know, walk around downtown, talk with somebody that, you know, if the conversation shows itself to be that, then like be in that conversation. As far as the process of art making, I think you just have to have time and space. some space where you make it. So when you line up in that zone is giving you something. You know, as you invest more time in it, it gives you something back. So some people need to sketch. I just like to go. I just like to start and just start digging in the sandbox, so to speak. And, you know,
I think that's a great way to start art to create art across the board is just to start.
Yeah.
Just take a step forward. Just begin. Don't worry too much about like the technological aspect.
No,
to
that's
it.
how
Like,
you keep yourself small. That's how you keep yourself small. And if you go to an art school, that's how they'll keep you a customer too. You know,
that's a really good point.
I think that's been my experience.
Right.
You know,
and that's all we have is our experience.
I have friends who have went to art school, and they are so much more prepared as far as their processes and what materials they use, you know. But I've always just liked to discover for myself. I don't want to read if I mix these two paints or if I can mix these two materials. I just want to try it because I'm in the thing doing the thing.
And that's how you create the process, is through trial and error.
Yeah.
Too. That's a big aspect of it. You have to be you have to be all right with failing and not succeeding.
Yeah.
And that's like really essential. It took me a long time to figure that out because it's hard sometimes, like when you try to do something and you don't succeed, but it's actually essential as you're learning how to do something that you're going to have things that you try that don't work out.
Totally.
And it's like, that's
a great thing.
It's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
It's like helping you it's like the obstacles that you overcome in your life. It's like helping you to forge your character as an artist.
Totally. And if you're hitting a stopping point or you don't feel inspired to get beyond that, then that thing is maybe not for you. And there's another thing, you know? But yeah, it's just a process, and that allows you to kind of like shed the stresses of the day, you know, like worst case scenario, I think with some sort of process, whether it's music or physical activity or art making, it allows you to shed yourself. So when you go to bed, you're just yourself. You're not all these things that you picked up during the day. Like, let's say being a mother of 2 children, being a single mom of 2 children, being a single, you know, it's like if you can give yourself some time to just do something, creating a conversation between you and a process, you can do so much for your mental health and wipe your slate clean. So when you wake up the next morning, you're fresh because you didn't watch 9 hours of something on the TV or whatever it is, you know?
I did an episode a while ago about mental blocks, creative blocks, because I was literally having a creative block, and I was like, fine, I'll just do an episode about it. It's like an interesting topic. And I dived in, and there was one insight that I really appreciated was finding a balance between the media you consume and the media you create. And I actually wanted to ask you about like how do you navigate that in terms of like, even when we're talking about like things going on in the world, and I know you listen to podcasts that get into like the nitty gritty details, like geopolitics, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate like putting the right amount of energy and time into that so that you kind of know what's going on versus then that becoming out of whack and then all of a sudden now you're consuming much more than you're creating? Yeah.
So I love those geopolitical things. CNN is a great source to go to for good news. MSNBC.
Oh, they're the best.
I love watching that stuff. The way I keep myself from puking on those channels, I watch a little bit of stuff, and I watch myself because I become a little bit more cynical. I can be a little bit short with Jocelyn, you know, or short with our dog, right? And I notice that, and I'm like, yeah, time to chill out, you know? But I create a lot. I'm always just drawing, even at home. And even if you don't see it on social media, I'm still doing it. Believe it or not, you know, it's like, it's still just like tuning in with the process for myself. I think that at first, you're being asked by the process or by a universe or by art, are you really down for this or not? And so like you have to keep going. It's not about feeling inspired a lot of the time. You know, inspiration does come by. It's about you showing that you're willing to do this for yourself and for it or for whatever it is. And so you just have to start and keep going. And then eventually a gold token falls right in front of you and you're like, whoa, you know, and then it's like, keep going, you know? And so it kind of goes from like a capillary sized little entry point into like a vein into an artery. And like the responsibility to myself is to keep that artery expanded and the blood fresh flowing. And so it's like, if I take a break from painting, or let's say I do a large wall project, like a large mural, then maybe I just start to walk for a few days if I have time off, because my hand and my shoulder are sore or whatever. And so I just walk around a lot and stop at places I wouldn't stop at, and be a part of the world, not a part of my silo, you know? That's like a great way to access inspiration too, for me, is to walk around or to ride my bike around.
IRL, in real life.
Yeah,
Like that,
man,
you know,
dude, totally.
It's out there, I promise. It's
amazing. It's an amazing, and it really is an amazing thing. And you know, I wasn't raised in a way where I looked at myself as like, I'm this, and this, and I don't associate, you know, like I wasn't brought up in a household where I had a heavy jacket of you're going to be a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, or you're going to be an ideological virtue man, you know. I just told I was told what I wasn't going to be, you know, which is, you're not going to be a liar, you're not going to be someone who goes in and out of jail, you're not going to be a manipulator, you know. So I didn't have to really, blinders were not put on me, right? So I was open and was curious about other people and other things. And I think if you can get to that point where you're open enough, there's inspiration in conversations. Sometimes I ride the light rail and I have some of the kookiest conversations, you know. That's
yeah. If you want to like dive into some real life, real shit, jump on the light rail. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be inspired, or you'll be like,
or you'll be like, God, I love my life, you know. You know, I'm glad I was able to make it home.
Right?
You know,
put
like,
shit in perspective real quick.
Yeah, totally.
Andy Brown, we got 20 minutes left before the fancy studio is gonna kick us
dang.
out. I know, it's gone so fast.
Yeah. This building is huge and beautiful. I used to walk down here before all this happened, right? And this Bank of America was freestanding, a couple of drive-throughs. The Y used to be $40 a month, you know?
Ah, those were the days.
Yeah. Or no, it was cheaper than that. They raised it up to 41, and I was like, what, dude?
They used to have sliding scale, too. I don't know. I think maybe they do. Yeah, but the Y used to be way more attainable with, like, for working class folks. Yeah. Okay, so we got 20 minutes left.
All right.
I want to talk about the idea of manifestation now. Like
Okay.
how you go about it, and just share about that. To me, that's part of the process of creating. Is there's like the idea that you have, and then there's the reality, the end result. So
Yes.
like, using the example of the mural, you have inspiration, you're on the light rail and you see some crazy shit go down, and you're like, boom, light bulb goes off, and you have an idea for an amazing mural. Then the end result of that is like a lot of time and energy, and actually talent and skill, and actually executing the thing.
Thank you for those compliments. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you recognizing that in me.
That's why we're here today.
How's that? How was that, dude? Thank you for noticing.
This is all just been one grand production to notice Andy.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think what can happen for sometimes is that people get a little bit sidetracked in the process of the manifestation, where you're spending so much time with, like, you got to get the right crystals, you got to sit down, you got to get the right directions, you got to manifest properly. And the thing is, I love manifestation, and I like ceremonial magic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I love it, but it's like that's what births the idea, and then the actual reality is like it's a different type of process.
Oh yeah. The sexy distractions. That's like buying 300 colors of colored pencils and then being paralyzed just to start making lines and start shading, right? So I think the ceremonial stuff to inspire you to get in touch is good, but then you have to stop that and you have to start doing it.
And you can continue, like, you know, as long as you have that balance, it's like you can continue then doing the ceremonial stuff while you're still creating the thing.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to start creating the thing and be willing to, like, maybe make a mistake or two.
Oh, for sure. You should make mistakes. Absolutely. There's an interesting saying, and I don't know if I read this somewhere or if it came to my mind, but here you go. Dreaming for the work or working for the dream? what are you going to do? So are you going to work for your dream, because that will become a reality, or are you going to psychologically dream for your work? And so you can get caught up in that, because intellectually using your imagination to see all the possibilities is really fun to do. You know, it's fun to think about how your brand is going to be and how you're going to communicate that and how you're going to talk about that. But what about just doing it? You know? So yeah, manifestation, you can do a lot of things that maybe you hold yourself back with, like self-loathing or whatever it is. You can break through that. It's just a matter of changing your dimension and who you're being, and that's all, you know. There are so many mistakes, you know, like with Megaphone, I don't know if I would call them mistakes, but I've learned a lot, you know. But I also didn't have this like strict business plan that I had to stick to. I was like, let's see what reality shows me this needs to be or doesn't need to be at all. Instead of me becoming like, these are my 6 bullet points, these are the pillars, this is the mission statement. I was like, let's just rent out a space and see if people want to use it to make art. Mm-hmm. And I think being open to a conversation of your project and willing to trust its feedback it's giving to you is the best way to do things. Yeah, matching concept with reality is difficult. If you're trying to force the concept onto reality, you have to be present to pay attention to reality too, to the signals that you're getting, right?
And you have to be flexible also, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like thinking on your feet and figuring things out as you go.
Yeah.
Which is also how like that's how trees and plants grow also. Like they're extremely flexible.
Amen.
They're always maneuvering towards the light. Like
yes.
You can learn so much just by studying even like plants in your apartment. They're always going to maneuver towards the light. They find innovative ways of doing it. Impossible, I would say, to predict how the plant is going to like maneuver towards the light. Yeah. But that's what they're going to be doing. And it's like you can orient yourself like that as well, where you just focus on the sun and the source.
Yep.
And maneuver towards that.
Yep.
And the nice thing is that you will have help on the way, like that you will meet people who will want to help you. Like that's part of it.
Yep.
And it's like it's an adventure.
Totally. It's all about the process. The path is so rich if you're paying attention to it. Our minds can get us attached to the end result, you know, and that's no fun, you know. I think that like anyone who's looking to bring something new into their life, to manifest something new, I think it's really intimidating when you're going to leave a job or start something new and you're well seated into something. It's probably one of the best things that you could do for yourself too, is to do something that scares you, you know, and just to get in there. And then you're like, oh, wow, I'm out of this, you know, rut I was in or whatever. And I feel something more that I didn't feel before. And I like that, you know, and so I'm going to do that more, you know.
That's another element of neuroplasticity too. Neuroplasticity keeps coming up in my awareness. It's like generating new brain cells. Our bodies our bodies are capable of generating new brain cells our entire lives up until the day we pass. We can generate new brain cells, and part of like what allows one to generate new brain cells is forcing yourself to do different things that you're not familiar with, and like learning new things, and that comes in with like the being willing to make mistakes and stuff like that too. Yep. So the being siloed in is like a real obstacle that folks, and I myself included, need to be aware of, and like the echo chamber aspect of things, and just always keeping that crack open in your mind so that you can listen to what people have to say, even if you're so like they're talking and it makes you so furious. You listen to what they're saying though. Yeah. And like even if you see this thing as like an adversary, you have to understand the adversary if you're gonna like deal with the adversary as well. So it's
and it helps you understand yourself too. We all have a lot of possibilities in us, you know. So saying that that's my enemy is like, well, what's going on with that inside of me, you know? Like,
yes, that's a great point.
Yeah,
like psychological projection as well.
Yeah.
Like when you use the example of you see a guy, like ripped guy with like the tan, and he's got his tank top and he's like swinging his dick around, and you're like, what a dick. And it's like, okay, now's the chance to be like, what is it about that gentleman that you are repressing within yourself?
Yeah, he's in his zone.
He's just doing his thing.
He's in the pinnacle of the thing that he's chosen to do. Why am I so mad at that guy? You know, it's like, wow, maybe I should go get in my zone, so I'm not worried about what someone else is doing.
Yes.
I mean, and that's like brings me up to doing a rant about social media too. Is like, don't look at all this stuff on social media. Get to work. Like, do your thing. Do that. That's living. Receiving all this stuff that's been all strategized, by the way. Even the captions are strategized, but there's good stuff on there. I'm still on there to share my work and to see other people's, but it's also like, don't look at that stuff. Get to work on your own stuff. There's so much that comes from that.
It's a great example of if you don't have your own plans, you're going to become a part of someone else's plan.
Totally.
With the social media, they have very complex algorithms working on you all the time, and they're constantly getting better at targeting, advertising, targeting different things. It's all about data accumulation.
Yes.
And don't be your own algorithm. Be your own algorithm. Don't allow yourself to be played by the algorithm.
Yeah. Like live proactively. You know, like live your life proactively, you know, and be you, get involved in life for yourself. Yeah, dude.
It's becoming more and more critical that people keep that in mind as we move forward, and myself too. And
yeah, me too.
We're going to have to come back and do another conversation because I want to get into artificial intelligence and that whole situation.
Mother Nature, the true artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Dude, I love how you're making the comments on the plants and stuff, because I have a book for you that you'll really like, but it's true. If you watch these plants and don't watch too many YouTube videos about plants, because they'll convince you that you need to have all these special things. It's amazing what plants will do if the right setting is there, right? The intention's already there with Mother Nature, right? It's that is the real deal, man.
That's the beautiful thing too, is you can, when you hop on the river is moving also. So you get moved with the river. Sometimes you got to swim upstream and that's it. And you're still moving with the river. You got to do resistance. But also it's Mother Nature, Gaia, the intelligence, that has its own flow as well. And you can actually tune into that from time to time or all the time.
Yeah.
And you can kind of ride it like a wave, ride it like you're floating like the river of existence.
Yeah, totally. Not being mind heavy, and that you're more open, not forcing things, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. This was great.
Amazing. I want to take the last little bit of time for you to talk about your projects, what you have going on. Tell us a little bit about Megaphone, that project, so people know what it's all about, and how people can follow your art, how people can get in touch with you, how people can see your murals and your latest work around town. I want to put that out for folks.
Thank you. So I brought a PowerPoint presentation. Can we get that linked up? So Megaphone is a shared artist studio space in the Warehouse District just south of downtown Phoenix. There are, I believe, 16 artists in there, 15 or 16 artists. You basically just have a place to work, and then, putting the rules down early on and kind of sticking to that. It's been going on now for 7 years, and you'd have to ask the artists that are in the space what they think of it, but I would venture to say that it's a harmonic community, man. It's incredible, the friendships that have developed through there. There's all different level of artists, and so we're there. I was painting this morning. Ezgi came in. Ezgi is an awesome, talented artist, and she's just a cool person too. So we talked, and then I came here, right up the street.
And do you guys ever have open houses or anything like that?
Yeah, we do open houses. We will have more this fall. Our Instagram is Megaphone PHX. And I'm not prolific or really good at it, but I do put information on there when we are having open houses. For me personally, I've been drawing and painting a lot in the studio and at home. I'm trying to have a show this fall. I want to find a building somewhere in Midtown or Uptown that I can rent out to just have an independent show, The paintings have a lot to do with, there's a lot of imagery of stairs and sticks going up the stair. And that's a whole idea that I could share with you, and you'd probably enjoy the thinking behind it.
Please, yeah.
And some Sonoran desert iconography type of stuff. I got some mural projects coming up that I'm excited about.
What are the sticks and stairs, real quick?
I'm trying to describe. So the stick is like a process. It represents a process. Let's say playing the flute, okay? Or let's say building things with toothpicks and a thing of glue. It's just a process. And the stick goes up the stairs. The stairs represent the rigidity of life and the machine-like nature. Your mind, rent, mortgage, child care, relationship issues, all those things. Getting enough food, affording enough food, quitting habits. So the stick, the process, allows you to smooth out the rigidity. And it allows you ultimately to be able to touch magic. And once you can touch magic in a process, I think, and this is the idea that I'm peddling, is that you're much more prepared for everything else in life, and you become better at both things.
Interesting.
Touching magic through a process allows you to be proactive in the things that have got you muddled down in some sense.
Yes.
So that's the stick on the stairway. And so it's all about just touching magic, not trying to live in it. Because if we all ate dessert, it would be miserable, but it's just having access to it. And it's through a process that you're doing, not consuming the magic that someone else is selling.
Oh,
that's how you stay a spectator. We need to, we have to stop consuming so much and start creating, and also start reflecting other people's light instead of just trying to become the salesman of our own light.
Yes. Oh, man.
That's the whole idea. And I've been working on this body of work for years, and I'm like just trying to figure out a way to describe it in words that's like succinct, but it allows enough space for the mysticism of what I'm trying to say in it, but I'm doing that,
Sounds fantastic.
I'll let you know in the show.
And where's somewhere around town where someone can check out like a mural that you have done?
There's a number of them in town, man. I just did a really large saguaro cactus on 52nd Street in Washington. There's a mural on the north bathroom building of the Churchill here in downtown Phoenix.
Word.
Churchill is like a cool spot that is happening. It's just south of Roosevelt on 1st Street. I've got a number of murals. One is behind the Roberto Venn Lutherary School on Grand Avenue. It's a guitar building school. So on the back side of that building is a mural. There's a number of them, and it's.
Do you have like a place where people can go and see like a list of all your murals around town? No,
but I started making a list. If you go, like, my website is abartworks.com. My Instagram is Sleisure, SLEISURE. You can see a bunch of stuff. I don't have complete lists because I've literally been kind of like a madman in a way, just doing it, you know? And then whenever I start to compile a list, I'm like, dude, this is just weird.
That's a great problem to have, though. You have created so much art that you're bored with putting the list together.
Yeah, I want to have like a list of people that have bought art for me because, I feel like I've been so supported, man. So supported. And so I don't even have a list of people who have bought original paintings from me, and I want to do that at some point. This isn't a big enough injury this broken toe I have isn't big enough to force me to do that, but at some point I will. But yeah, the website has some pictures and stuff like that, and some details of stuff in Japan and stuff like that too. I think there's some murals from there.
Word. We'll have all the links up in the description. Yeah. Folks can check it out.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I'm a fan of your podcast, and I love you have such a multi-dimensional approach to what you're doing. You're delivering information, insight, reactions, and then your skits are awesome, dude. I appreciate them. I really do.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that too. It takes a certain type of psyche to really get what I'm doing with the skits, and it's amazing.
There's more of you out there because I really like it, So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, man. And Andy Brown made it here even with the broken toe.
It was so rough.
You were gonna ride your bike, right?
Yeah. I would prefer to ride a bike, but instead I limped over from 2nd Avenue.
Hell yeah, I made the effort. And so that's it, and that's that, everyone. That wraps up this conversation of Barbarian Noetics. Big thank you again to Andy Brown. Go check out all his stuff. Links in the description. I appreciate all y'all out there in the rabbit holes of space and time. And until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take excellent care of each other. Much love, everybody.
Friends, well, we've skipped, we've yipped, we've packed, we've hacked, we've ripped, we've slipped, we've danced, and we've pranced. We have arrived at last to the end of this particular show, but there will be many, many more shows to come. And just a heads up, because I have so much beautiful, amazing content, and my time is stretched so very thin, although I'm totally here for it, and I'm getting better at time management. But I'm going to be releasing some more interviews on the RSS feed, just kind of straight up. There's going to be the intro music, maybe a brief intro, and then the interview, because I need to get the content out because it's really important and good content. But my time is just stretched very thin. I have so many projects going. I'm totally here for it. But there is going to be a little format shift, and then we'll still have like the old school episodes with the skits, the zany audio tidbits, the energy audio tidbits are going to continue coming out. We're jiving, we're shaking, we're baking, we're banging, we're hanging. You know how it is. Thank you for being along for the ride. I appreciate all of y'all so much. And I could really use your support. Genuinely, honestly, could really use your support to offset the cost of keeping this bad boy on the air. There's a lot of costs. I got to host this. I got to subscribe to that. You know what I mean? So anything helps. I have a new way now you can help support the show. You can support me on PayPal. So I'm on PayPal. You can find me via my email, barbarian.noetics@proton.me. That's barbarian.noetics@proton.me for PayPal. The links will be in the description. You can still help me out on buymeacoffee.com/noetics. And of course, you can still sign up to be a beloved patron, patreon.com/noetics. And you can sign up at all sorts of different tiers. And when you sign up as a patron, you get a dream interpretation, you get a haiku, you get infinite kitten karma points. So, who doesn't want infinite kitten karma points, honestly? So, but for real, from the bottom of my heart, the most important thing is just the love and the support and the feedback, and for listening and for sharing headspace with me and just being a part of the show. All my day ones out there, I love y'all to death. Spread the word and tell a friend. Let's expand our tribe of philosopher barbarians. Let's continue to activate the human spirit. And until next time, I wish you all a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be in the rabbit holes of space and time. Make it bellissima. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, peace.
Yo soy Guanaco y voy a invitarlos para que vengan a saborear conmigo esa comida que en El Salvador siempre acostumbro y me gusta comer. Son pasteles, no son pasteles, son tamales, no son tamales, son garrobos, no son garrobos, yuca frita, no. ¿Qué es lo que te gusta? 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 A mí me gustan las pupusas con curtido y salsa de tomate. A mí me gustan las pupusas y tomarme una taza de café. A mí me gustan de queso revueltas o de chicharrón. A toda hora me gustan calientitas, siempre será el plato más sabroso en cualquier parte de América Central. Si tú las buscas, las puedes saborear. Son pasteles, no son pasteles.